Hey, today I'm gonna show you a neat trick to launch your entire development environment with just one command. We will also add some bash aliases, so you will never have to repeat the same commands over and over again. But first, a small request. If you enjoy these episodes, subscribe to the channel and give the thumbs up. That way I can make even more content like this for you. So, let's get started. Okay, we already have Git, so we will continue to use it. Now, let me briefly describe the process I will be using, which I hope will help you get more out of this course. As you can see, we are on our main branch and we don't have any others at the moment. We only have one branch. I thought it would be a good idea if you could join me at any point during the course and go through the lesson I am discussing step by step. You won't be forced to go through the course from the very beginning, and this will allow you to practice only the topics that interest you. To achieve this, at the beginning of each episode, I will create a separate branch in the Git repository, which you can switch to and continue the course with me on your computer. To create a branch in the Git repository, we use the git checkout-b command and then specify the name of the branch. Since we are still in the episode 8, the name of this branch is feature/s01e08. This is similar to how episodes and series are named on streaming services, which is very clear. At the end of the name, I will add a /start so that we note that this is our starting point for working on the episode. After creating a branch locally on your computer, we send it to the repository on GitHub using the git push command. Of course, the first time we also need to set the upstream, which means using the full command git push -- set upstream origin followed by the name of our branch. After refreshing the page, we are back in the main view of the repository. Now we click the drop-down next to the current branch name. In our case, it's main. And as we can see, the newly created branch has been successfully added and it's now visible in the list. That means that everything works as expected and we can continue with the next steps. The next step I am taking is creating a new branch that starts from the feature/s01e08-start branch. The branch I am about to create will be named s01e08-end. And now you may be wondering, why am I doing it this way? After all, this new branch comes from an existing one with almost the same name. So let me explain the reasoning behind this approach. The diagram shows the branching workflow that I use throughout the entire course, not just in a single episode. I start by creating a branch called feature/s01e08-start, which branches off from the main branch. Then, based on that, I create another branch named feature/s01e08-end. This is where I implement all the changes and the code that I show throughout the episode. In this example, you can see a few sample commits, things like form setup, validation, error handling, and the final user interface changes. These commits are just examples. In the actual episodes, they will vary depending on what we are building. Once everything is complete and working correctly, I merge the feature s01e08-end branch back into main. The merge goes down and to the left, which visually represents how finished code flows back into the main stable version of the project. I think this approach keeps the repository clean and well organized with a clear commit history. And most importantly, If you are following along with the course, you can always check out the corresponding feature and the episode start branch for any episode to start coding from exactly the same point where I begin in the video. Each episode will have its own dedicated start branch, so no matter where you join the course, you can always follow along step by step from the right place. Now I'm going to create a new branch called feature/s01e08-end. This is the branch where we will continue working. We will be committing and pushing all changes here. That way, as I mentioned here earlier, the repository will contain the full project history from the very beginning. So you can jump into the course at any point in any episode and follow along with me as we build everything step by step. At the moment I can still see only 2 branches in the repository, but that's probably just a matter of refreshing the page. And sure enough, after refreshing, we can now see all the branches we have created and the ones we will be working on going forward. Alright, now let me quickly show you how to jump into an episode and follow along with the course. First, go to the repository and copy its URL. I'm using the SSH here because in just a moment I will be cloning this repository locally to my computer using the terminal. Let's open the terminal and navigate to the directory where we keep our application. In my case, it's the tutorials folder. As you can see, there are a few subfolders here. The front-end application we are currently working with is inside the web-app front directory. And I'm going to delete the folder now. We can safely delete this folder because our entire project is already on GitHub. We are not going to lose anything important. Everything that matters is safely stored in the repository. To clone the repository locally to your computer, we use the git clone command followed by the URL we copied from the GitHub earlier. After running this command, Git will create a new folder with the same name as the repository and download the entire project into it, including commit history and all branches. The cloning process was really quick since our repository is still quite small. As you can see, a folder named web-app-front has been created. Let's go into the directory. Next, we are going to switch to the branch where we will start episode 8. In our case, it's feature/s01e08-start. To do that, we use the git checkout command followed by the name of the branch, just like you see in the video. Finally, we need to install the dependencies for the front-end application. If we previously deleted the project folder or just cloned the repository onto the new machine, the libraries won't be installed yet. All required dependencies are listed in the package.json file and we install them using the yarn install command. And that's all we need to do with the front-end application. Once we open Visual Studio Code and select the folder with our app we have just cloned, we have a ready-to-use environment where we can work and continue developing locally. As you can see, it's really straightforward. Just like we did for the front-end application, I'm going to set up a repository for the backend. Feel free to follow along with me if you would like some extra practice working with a Git repository. Just like we did with the front-end application, since everything is already on GitHub, let's do the same for the backend. First, let's remove the old folder with the backend app as we won't be using it anymore. So, we ran into a problem. We can't delete the application folder. This is a common issue when working in Docker-based environments. Some of the files were created during the Docker Compose process with root super user permissions. Because of that, the regular rm command won't work. We don't have the necessary privileges. To remove the folder, we need to use the sudo command, which allows us to run commands with administrative rights. In this case, sudo rm-rf and the folder name. But be extremely careful when using sudo rm-rf. This command deletes the specified folder and all of its contents without asking for confirmation. If you accidentally point to the wrong path, you could remove something critical from your system. So be careful with sudo. Just like we did with the front-end application, as you probably remember, we now need to clone the repository to our local machine. To do that, we copy the repository URL from GitHub and then run the git clone command with the URL as the argument. This will download the project to our computer. And that's it. The repository has been successfully cloned, and we can now start working on our backend application locally. If we open Visual Studio Code, you will see that we have all the files needed to run the project on our machine. Finally, just like we did for the front-end application, I am now creating branches for the backend as well. I'm using the same naming conventions to keep the repository organized and to make it easier for you to follow along with the course. If an episode doesn't include any changes on the front end or backend side, I will only create branches where they are actually needed. We won't create empty, unnecessary branches. The goal is to keep the repository clean and well structured. In this section, I'll show you something that lazy developers will definitely appreciate. If you enjoy making your workflow simpler, and honestly, who doesn't, you'll like the solution I'm about to show you. As a full-stack developer, you usually work on both the front-end and back-end at the same time. That typically means opening two separate Visual Studio Code windows, one for the front-end folder and another for the backend. Sometimes you might use the Open Recent feature, but even then it can get a bit tedious. We can make things a bit easier here by creating a simple script file in Ubuntu that will open both Visual Studio Code windows for frontend and backend with a single command. This way we don't have to open them manually every time. To do this, I will create a new script file in the tutorials directory using the nano editor. As you see, I type nano and the tutorials/run vtab.sh. This will be our startup script for launching the project setup. In the created file, we will place a script that will be executed automatically each time we run it. We start with the line #bank bin bash. This line tells the system that the file, more precisely the instructions it contains, should be executed not by the default shell but by the specified interpreter, in our case bash. Next, in the script we specify the command lines that will be executed as if we type them manually in the terminal, except here the script will do it automatically for us. The first command changes the directory to the backend applications folder and launches Visual Studio Code using the code.command. Once that is done, the script proceeds to the next step. We then perform the same action for the frontend application, changing to the directory containing its files and launching Visual Studio Code from there. By pressing Ctrl+X, we exit the file editor, making sure to save the changes we made. As you can see in the tutorials directory, we now have a file that launches our development environments. The last step is to grant it execution permissions. We do this with the command chmod+x and the path to our file. chmod stands for change mode. Now, when we list the contents of our directory, we can see that our file is displayed in green. This indicates that it is an executable file. Let's try running it using space and the path to our startup script. As you can see, it works correctly. Both Visual Studio Code windows have been opened, one for the front-end application and one for the back-end application. We can still improve one more thing in our script. As you can see, the terminal window remains open after launching the program. In practice, we don't need it because we will be using the terminals built directly in Visual Studio Code. So let's edit our script file again and make a small change that will automatically close the terminal after Visual Studio Code is launched. At the end of our script, we add simple exit command which will close the shell that is running the script. After saving the changes and running the script again, we get exactly the results we wanted. Hooray! Okay, we now have the process of starting our development environment fully automated. We no longer need to perform these steps manually, but let's imagine we are extremely lazy programmers and we want to make our work even easier. I will show you how to do that. First, let's copy to the clipboard the command we use to run our script. Next, we open the .bashrc file located in our home directory for editing. At the end of the file, we will add a new alias. As you can see, I already have some aliases defined for other commands. Now we will add a new alias that will run the script for the project we are working on in this course. As you can see in the video, we add the alias command followed by the alias name. In my case, it will be TUT, short for tutorial. After the equal sign inside quotation marks, we enter the command that should be executed when this alias is called. The configuration from the .bashrc file, including all aliases, is automatically loaded when the operating system starts. However, to avoid restarting the system, we can reload it manually using the command source.bashrc file. And we are doing it only once. When you will start your Ubuntu operating system, it will be loaded automatically. Okay, now as you can see, after typing our short alias TUT, the script runs and our development environment is ready to work. This of course makes our daily tasks much easier. With just one simple command, we can launch everything we need. Okay, I think that's enough for today. We have gone through a few improvements that will definitely come in handy in your daily work as a programmer. You now have a general idea of how we will be working with the Git repository, and we will be practicing this more in the upcoming episodes. I will be showing you how I perform each operation, so you will have no trouble following along. As you can see, creating aliases can make life much easier. With them, we can launch even very complex scripts with a single simple command, and they will run automatically for us. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode.